I know we all feel like imposters sometimes, all of us. So if you suffer from what's called imposter syndrome and wonder if you're really good enough to be where you want to go in life or where you already are in life, then watch this video all the way to the end because I'm going to kick the shit out of this crippling condition and set you free so you can do exactly what you're put here on earth to do. If that sounds good, keep watching. I'm John Benson and this is Sales Copy Secrets. Welcome back, and here is overcoming imposter syndrome forever. I mean, forever, as in you'll never have to deal with this crippling, ridiculously paralyzing fear of not being enough, of being in the wrong place. Maybe somebody's mistaken you. The whole world is mistaken, and you're really not this expert or whatever in what you're claiming to be an expert in. You're just this fraud. You are somebody that snuck through the cracks and all the kind of stuff that we all have believed at one time or another, except maybe for the people who are the most confident or the most narcissistic among us. Maybe they've never believed this, but I certainly have. I'm going to tell you my own story. But first of all, let's define imposter syndrome. Wikipedia defines imposter syndrome as a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud.
I know that's the popular version of what went on there. I know a lot of people like to believe that.
Say it. Well, I think that is true, and also it's a protective mechanism. And I'm going to be talking about that today. But generally speaking, the Wikipedia definition was pretty accurate. Now, in case you're wondering, which I used to wonder this all the time, am I the only one that feels this at times? Because I most certainly have. No, not at all. I was talking to my good friend Ryan Dice, who you see here on the screen. Ryan is the CEO of Digital Marketer. He is the creator or founder of Traffic and Conversions. I'm lucky to consider him a good friend for the last 12 years. And talking on the phone with him one day, going, Ryan, I feel like I'm a fraud, man. I feel like not that I don't think I'm good at what I do, but it's like, man, I feel like I just weaseled my way into some of these things. I got lucky with the fitness world. I got lucky with this. And he's like, dude, I suffer from imposter syndrome all the time. I'm like, you? You, dude? You're the guy that's speaking in front of 10,000 people and you have the most successful event in the world, I think, for marketers. I'm like, and yes. So Ryan himself has felt that. I don't think he would mind me sharing that with you. I have most certainly felt it. And I can tell you two specific times where I felt it. Once is when I started writing a letter for a very famous marketing company. I won't mention their name to protect them, but I'll put it this way. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I started writing a VSL for them. And I was writing it during a time where I was going through separation from my wife. And it was one of the worst times of my life. And I just did really horrible, horrible work. And I totally felt like an imposter because they paid me 6 figures to do this, and I produced a letter that just sucked. It was one of my worst outputs ever, and we've since reconciled over these things because they were able to pull a couple of hooks out of it, and the hook was still being used last time I checked, so at least it got that part right, but just not even remotely close to my own standard of work. So at the time, I didn't link it together with what I was going through. I linked it together with feeling like, well, I'm not really as good as everyone says that I am. And, then I would write another letter, then it would bomb. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'm really suck. I'm really horrible. And people think I'm this great copywriter. Oh my God, that seeps in. It just rolls around in your head. And when I realized where it was really coming from, that's what set me free. And that's what I'm here to help you do today. So I was reading an article on our protection mechanisms in our brain, and that's when I decided to put these two things together. Now, I haven't heard anyone else say this, and maybe somebody has, and that's totally cool. I'm not trying to invent new psychology here, but what I see is I basically see imposter syndrome as a protection mechanism to help you stay where you are. If you think about how humans evolved and how we evolved in tribes, the basic evolutionary rule was don't die. Okay, pretty simple, right? Spread your seed and don't die. And don't die often meant stay as close to the clan as you can. If you venture too far out, you run the risk of running into a tiger or a woolly mammoth or another tribe that could kill you. So success was defined as being in one place. Don't go too far. That sense has moved beyond the physical and into the psychological. In other words, don't go too far in your mind. Don't become too smart in education. We see this happening today in a lot of kids. They feel like it's a bad thing to become too smart. It's actually degraded oftentimes in colleges and high schools. Well, we do the same thing in our careers. They do the same thing in money. They do the same thing in happiness. That if we go too far outside the norm, that protection mechanism clicks back in and keeps us from going out of a false sense of fear. Only this time, the fear is completely imaginary. It's not real. And you need to understand that the fear is not real. But when you're feeling that imposter syndrome, it's trying to keep you constrained. And you've gone beyond the boundaries of what your subconscious mind thinks is the appropriate boundary for you to stay at. So all it requires is a little conversation with your subconscious mind and going, hey, guess what? I'm resetting you. I get to reset you. This is in charge. I'm going to consciously reset you, move you out here. This is where we're playing, whether I fail or not, whether I bomb or not, whether I don't like it or not, we're staying here. And all of a sudden the brain will respond. Now, another thing that this stems from is a sense of lack of worth. So if you have a lack of self-worth, which a lot of people do, maybe it's from how you were raised, or maybe it was from experiences that you encountered early in your life, that can definitely lead to imposter syndrome as well. But that too is just another another barrier for your brain to say, don't go beyond this certain point because there's a tiger over there. But there's no tigers. There's nothing to fear on the other side of this. To clearly realize this and to put your prefrontal cortex in charge of your subconscious, in charge of that amygdala that's running the show, is so vitally important for you to do, to realize that there is no tiger. There's nothing going to kill you on the other side. The worst thing that can happen is that you will quote unquote fail. And if you learn from that failure, nothing bad happened at all. And I'm going to give you the ways I kick the shit out of imposter syndrome for good. First of all, by realizing everything I just told you. Second of all, by realizing that if I believe what I believe, in other words, I believe I'm an imposter, then I must believe that thousands, if not, in my case, tens of thousands or even millions of people are all wrong. So what is more likely, that millions of people are wrong or that I am wrong? Yeah, it's not impossible, but it's pretty damn steep. Next, and this one's going to really twist your brain, this is actually a good thing. And here's what I mean. I'm not saying imposter syndrome is a good thing to experience. What I'm saying, it's a good thing morally to experience because it's a sign that you want to deliver the very best to your customers or to the people in your life. You want to show up as the best. You want to show up as even better than you really are. So morally speaking, this is a good compass. In other words, you should pat yourself a little bit on the back for even feeling it. It's a good thing that you want to be better than you are. And here's the trick to the equation. It's not about being better than you are to show up for your audience or your family or your loved ones. It's being who you are, committed to growth, and inviting them in to share along the way, to share in that journey of your own personal growth, just like I'm doing right here. Listen, I'm a damn good copywriter. I don't think of myself as the greatest copywriter who ever lived. I know I can learn from a lot of different people. I happen to be very good at a couple things and struggling with a couple of other things. And I want you to come along on this journey with me as I grow into things that I don't think that I'm very good at, or that I struggle with and maybe occasionally sometimes feel that imposter syndrome, and also enjoy the things that I do think I'm good at so I can help you along that way too. But it's a partnership in a sense. It's a journey that we can take together. And by alienating your audience away from that journey, you basically tell them, I don't want you to show up until I think I'm perfect. What kind of an asshole believes that? What kind of an asshole says that? Just don't bother showing up here until I got everything perfect. That is classic narcissism, and all of us can fall into that very easily. I'm inviting you to step out of that right now and go, hey, I'm inviting you along for the journey. Bumps, bruises, warts, and gold medals, successes, everything included. It's all part of the trip. You want to come with me? Cool. So let's talk about how to make that transition. When you're feeling it, how do you get out of it? You may not like the answer, but the answer is very similar to the Nike slogan. You just fucking do it. And I'm going to give you two examples. One is in the gym, where I am still very much into bodybuilding, and it's very difficult to do what I do for 26 years now to do what I do. And there are days where I feel like the last thing I want to do is go to the gym or get under a heavy squat bar or a heavy bench press or whatever I'm doing that day. Something's hurting. It's raining outside. It's cold. It's dark. Whatever the excuse in my brain. I'm hungry. That's often the excuse. Guess what? I have a saying in my mind. fuck it, do it anyway.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it!
That's what I say. I don't care whatever comes up. Fuck it, do it anyway. Don't even think about it. And then I make a deal with myself. Okay, you don't have to do it, but you have to get ready to do it and walk to the gym. Fortunately, my gym is literally right across the street, so it's not too hard for me to get there. I go across the street, and if I can walk into the gym and walk upstairs to where I would train, and then I don't want to do it, then I give myself permission to go home. I've gone home one time when I made it to the gym. Once. One time. But I have to say that to myself, fuck it, do it anyway. Now, I use that F-bomb. I do, and that's okay. I hope this is, put your fingers in your kids' ears if you have to. But sometimes I have to talk to myself that way. That's the language that motivates me. And I just keep saying it over and over again. So I just get off the excuse wagon. And the same thing is true in business. I just created a product last month, and I'm about to bring it to the market in probably another month or two. But the point is, I don't know how many people are going to buy this. And I always have this, what if it's not good enough? What if I can't get enough sales? And what if I don't know how to market it right? What if I can't write the copy for my own product, which happens a lot? Fuck it, do it anyway. I don't care about any of those results. I care about doing it. I can always adjust as I go. Very much like the old adage says, you can steer a monstrous ship with a little bitty rudder, but you can only do that if the ship is moving. If it's stuck in harbor, you're not going anywhere. So I have to move. And that is the key. The key to getting over imposter syndrome is move. Move through it and accept what other people are seeing about you while understanding that they might see things that are slightly better than they really are, that you want to work on that. Be honest with it. Be honest about that with them if you dare. That's cool. I think they'll respect you more and say, I'm going in this direction. I want to get better here. I'm pretty good here. Will you come with me? That is a surefire way to get over imposter syndrome. And by the way, once you do, what will be replaced is a very real, very authentic, and very lifelike confidence, something that most people want to be around. You'll become more and more confident, and therefore imposter syndrome starts fading more and more into the background. Okay, I went on another diatribe of psychology. I hope that you don't mind those because I'm going to go on them on occasion because a lot of people really need this and a lot of people love it, and I love talking about it. So that was overcoming imposter syndrome forever. Doesn't matter if you're a copywriter or a marketer or a businessman or a businesswoman, but other than tarantulas and other things with legs, this applies to you. If you're wanting to succeed in anything in life, this either applies to you or will one day apply to you, and now you know how to handle it. So stick around. I want to share a lot more of this psychology with you, the psychology of building success, of being a success, not just as a copywriter or as a marketer, but in life in general. I can't wait to share more of this with you. So do me a favor. If you like this video, will you do me a favor and hit that like button right now? Pulverize it. And do me a favor, another favor, leave me a compliment. No, I'm just kidding. Leave me a comment. You can leave me a compliment if you want to, but leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about imposter syndrome. Let me know if I'm off the mark here, or if you've got tools to deal with it. I'd love to hear it. Ring that bell for notifications. And as always, I am John Benson, and I'm here to help make you unignorable.